What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, me going over the Eikthyrnir refuge and going over each floor and explaining the mechanics of the fight so you guys know what to do in the fight for the deer. So let's hop into the video. Before we actually hop into the video, make sure to subscribe to your boy Amazing. We are on the road to 25k subscribers, man. At the time of recording this video, I'm at 21,900 subscribers on the YouTube channel. You guys have been showing an insane amount of support lately on the channel, and with that out of the way, let's hop into the video. Alright, guys, so I did this for the bird I think like a few weeks ago now, so I decided I'm gonna do it now for the deer because you know, you guys definitely wanted to see it. So let's actually talk about each floor of the deer and kind of explain to you guys the mechanics of the fight. So it obviously depends on your team, right? So depending on the team, a lot of this stuff could change, you know, depending on your situation, but regardless, mostly, like, you know, what I'm gonna explain in this video can go for a lot of teams in the game though. So let's talk about it, man. So first things first, let's talk about the buffs that are able to get on the floor 1 of the deer. So first passive you're gonna get is a guaranteed passive that you're always gonna get on floor 1 phase 2. So this passive is gonna be basic stat increase. The hero's basic stat increase by 100% when an enemy uses a rank up skill during the enemy's turn. So basically what this means is that if you bring a rank up character on your team like Red Goather or Green Goather, and you rank up, the boss gets almost, what is that, double basic stats. So you definitely don't want to bring a Goather for the deer here, man, because that's definitely one of the passives that can ruin a run if you do rank up. But there are ways you can cheese it. If you do kill a phase and then rank up after the phase is done, you know, you can't double basic stats if the boss is already dead, quote unquote. So there are scenarios where you can bypass it with rank up, but most of the time you're not going to really be able to do that. So I would advise from not using Green Goather or Red Goather though, just because of this passive right here. But you definitely can bring Green Goather, and there are teams that have cleared it with Green Goather. You just gotta, you know, kind of use your brain there. But yeah, moving on, we have phase 3's buffs here. So what we'll do is, guys, we'll go over the buffs and then we'll actually talk about each phase itself. So for the phases right here, for phase 3, you want to make sure you get this passive right here, or this passive too. This passive is fine as well if you have Jormungand. Ideally though, this passive right here, because it fills the hero's ultimate move gauge by 2 at the start of the battle, that's just free. Like, there's nothing else that you know, the boss gets for other than the 2 ultimate move gauge. Like, it's nothing too crazy, so 2 ultimate move gauge I think is fine. The armor destruction one can be a little bit annoying because when you take a critical hit, an effect is applied on the enemy which decreases defense related stats by 40%, so that's just going to apply on you, and then every time you get crit again, he's just going to reapply it, so that's going to be very annoying. This passive right here is not too good because of that, but this one right here is okay. Decreasing the hero's damage taken, decrease the hero's damage that he takes from enemies by 30%. So basically, you know, the 2 best passives you can get on this phase would be the damage taken decrease one and the desperate resolve one. So that's going to be the passives right there. Let's actually talk about each phase of the deer now. So the first phase of the deer is nothing too crazy. He has Pierce AoE, which is not going to do any crazy damage or anything like that. He has Spike single target, right? And then for his ultimate here, he's just gonna have 788% of attack, so just raw attack percent. For anything like you know, to take into account really here, you know, the demonic beast is immune to reflect damage and deals single target spike and all target pierce damage. You must pay close attention during the battle. So you know, like, this phase of the fight is not that crazy. Honestly, you could just kind of go through, just make sure you keep your Jormungand stacks going, doing 3 cards each and just kind of killing the phase. It's a very easy phase. So moving on to phase 2, this is where they actually add, you know, the color cycling effect, and you can see that the HP amount that he goes from 439k HP to 1.8 million HP, and the reason for that is because in the fight, when you are on this phase, if you actually cycle through cards on this phase, you do get I think it's a 10% attack related stats buff. So every time you cycle through, you're going to be getting a big amount of attack related stats. So the more times you're able to cycle through red, green, blue, or whatever the case, you're actually going to be able to get a big amount of attack related stats. So another thing to take into account is he does have a different AoE skill now. It's actually disable ultimate moves. So, you know, preferably what you would want to do is you'd want to have the ultimate move before he does the AoE. Or preferably, if you can one-shot the phase, that also works too. If you're able to one-shot the phase, that is pretty good too. But yeah, and then he has detonate a single target, so not gonna be anything too crazy. But right here it just says he's immune to reflect damage. It increases pierce rate, crit chance, crit damage for each debuff on the enemy. It takes increased damage from certain attributes depending on his battle state, and you must have a team of diverse attributes. So basically, it's saying you have to be able to cycle through, right? So phase 3 here is kind of a phase where you can kind of just like chill out. He does have this new AoE skill, which is Despair, so he's actually going to be able to heal a lot if he crits you. And then for this skill right here, it's just going to be gauge reduction, so you're basically not going to be able to get an ultimate. And then Spike right here. And yeah, man, like this phase is fairly easy. It's kind of just like a phase where, you know, you just gotta stall the fight. You know, it's not that crazy. Like the only real hard stages of this fight would be phase 2 and phase 4, which we're gonna talk about soon. But you can see here that you know, he has 484k HP compared to the 1.8, because at this time already you would have gotten your, you know, attack related stats up. So yeah, and then in terms of like passives here, you know, he gets damage reduction, he gets increasing the hero's life skill when he's 50% or less, and then the hero's damage taken from skills during the enemy's turn does not see 25% max HP, so he has damage cap. So that's something else to take into account as well. But yeah, man, moving into phase 4 here of stage 1. Yeah, so he gets a counter skill here now. So if you're not able to cycle through colors, and by I think like the 3rd turn or the 4th turn, he will use this stance, and when he uses this stance, you're basically screwed. The only way you can dodge this stance is if you have a shield character. So if you bring like Green Melassula, or if you bring, you know, Goddess Elizabeth, those are characters that if you do put up the shield and then cycle through colors, you can bypass this taunt. But other than that, there's not going to be really a way you can bypass it. He does have Infect AoE to make sure you don't heal, and then he has a single target Sever, so he's gonna be able to crit you guaranteed. But yeah, this phase is also not too bad as long as you're able to cycle through cards and you go into this phase with an ultimate. If you go into this phase with like the 1S or ultimate, I think his ultimate, if you are 6/6 with both hits, will do basically this entire health bar. I think the most he can do is 219,000. I think that's the damage cap on this phase, if I'm not mistaken, right? 35%. So I think on this phase, if you do an ultimate, I think the damage cap is 219%, or 219k, I should say. So yeah, I mean, his HP does increase. It says 417 here, but I swear in the fight, he does get an HP increase. Yeah, it's not that one. Yeah, I don't know if it shows that he gets one, but he does gain an HP increase here. But yeah, this phase you also want to cycle through colors as well, so that's the whole point. Like, because he has this taunt, you have to be able to cycle through colors. If you're not able to do it, you know, he's gonna put up that stance and then you're gonna be screwed. So that's phase 1, man, or floor 1. Not too crazy, but obviously a lot of it does come down to cycling through colors. But moving on to stage 2 here, let's go over to stage 2 and talk about the passives first. So in terms of the passives here on stage 2, they're gonna be very, very important. So a lot of you guys gotta, you know, take this into account. So the first 3 effects here for phase 2 of floor 2 is not going to be anything too insane. So you can basically get any of these passives here and you'll be fine, right? The increased defense related stats when surviving an ultimate move. That one kind of sucks, I will say, because it does make your ultimate moves and just like damage in general past that a lot worse. I think honestly, if you guys were to like find the best passive here, I think the max HP increase one is actually the best, because this one gives him lifesteal, and you don't want him to have lifesteal because he's going to start lifestealing like crazy when he gets 20% lifesteal, right? So yeah, that's the thing. Like I think this passive is pretty good. I think this one is still good though, you know, because he's going to increase HP related stats by 2% at the start of the ally's turn if the hero takes damage, and he will take damage, so you are going to be increasing his HP related. But if you can kill him fast enough, it will actually bypass that. But yeah, moving into phase 4 here in terms of the passives you want to get, they actually did change this passive right here, which I will show you guys. Actually, I'm going to pull it up. Here we go. So this was my deer buff guide that I made a while back, and as you guys can see here, they did have a revive passive here where he revived at 10% max HP when the hero dies, and that was actually a passive that cucked you into always using the 1 Eikthyrnir, and you had to bring the 1 Eikthyrnir. This is kind of outdated, by the way, so disregard everything else. I'm kind of just talking about revive passive here, but basically revive passive, the important thing about it is that you needed to have a 1 Eikthyrnir ult, because on the final floor of the fight there was a part where he would full heal on you if he was less than, I think, about like 20% HP. So that was kind of what screwed runs there, and definitely you know, made it pretty bad. But you guys can kind of get a general idea from this list though, even though it's kind of old. If you do get the SSR buffs on this, you will actually get probably the best run possible. Still to this day, I think if you do get each of the SSR ones, you will be fine. So let's actually move back into Grand Cross here and continue talking about it. But yeah, so they actually changed it to this passive right here. So the basic stats increase the hero's basic stats by 0.5% for every orb in the hero's ultimate move gauge on the battlefield. So this, when it says or my bad, it doesn't say hero, it says in the like ultimate move gauges on the battlefield, so it could be anybody, so including your team, including his side. Depending on how many ultimate move gauges on the battlefield, he's gonna get basic stats. And I think the most he can get, if I'm not mistaken, is gonna be because I think it's like 27, so half of 27, I think it would be like 13.5% basic stats total, because there's 7 ultimate move gauge on his side, and if your whole team has ultimates, then you know it would be a total of 20 plus 7, 27, and then you cut it in half because it's 0.5. So yeah, it's, you know, it's not too crazy. I think this passive is actually a very good one. If you get this one or the attack increase one, these are definitely the best passes possible. But this ultimate move decrease one can be a little bit annoying, but I know you're able to actually clear with this passive as well. As when revive passive was out, I was able to beat the floor phase 2 and stage 3 with this buff right here. But yeah, preferably you would want this one or this one, but if you do get this one, it's not the end of the world, man. So yeah, let's actually talk about each phase now that we're kind of done that. I'll kind of breeze through because, you know, I've been taking a lot of time with this video. But yeah, phase 1, nothing too crazy. He does have AoE gauge reduction, and he does have a increased attack buff by 200%. So you want to make sure you have a character that has remove buff, that's able to remove that if you're not able to kill by the time he does the buff skill. But other than that, he does have spike AoE. He does have single target charge, so they're not going to do a lot of damage. I think these cards honestly will not do too crazy damage unless you are the defense related down, and he does the spike AoE and somehow lands a crit. That'd be like kind of the only situation there. But yeah, you want to make sure you do have a buff removal for that you know, that buff right there. Phase 2 here, he's gonna actually have fixed damage. I don't know if it shows it here as one of the passives. Let me see. I don't think it has it as one of the passes, actually. Yeah, I don't think it has it as one of the passes. But basically, the deer here on this phase has fixed damage. If you guys don't know what fixed damage means, it means that you can only do 1 damage no matter what skill you use till you've cycled through the colors of the color wheel. So you have to do, let's say you do blue, red, green. You have to do blue, red, green, and each of the skills you use with blue, red, green is gonna give you only 1 damage each. And then what happens is after that's done, you're able to do damage. So you want to make sure you cycle through colors first before you're able to do actual damage. So what I like to do on this stage specifically is I'll start with an Eikthyrnir card, I'll follow up with a red card, then a green card, and then I'll just ult with Eikthyrnir so that I'm able to actually do damage past the fixed damage. But another thing to note as well is on the second turn, as you guys can see here, he does use Icy Pond. And if you guys don't know what Icy Pond does, inflicts damage equal to 10,000% of attack on all enemies and misses frozen targets. So if you have what happens is what you guys want to be doing is on the second turn of your attacking turn, what you want to do is you want to use a color that's off the color cycle. Basically, you want to make sure someone gets frozen, and the reason you want to do that is because you want to dodge this ability, because he's going to use it every 2 turns. So every second turn you want to make sure that you have 1 character frozen on your field so that he misses the frozen targets and he completely misses your whole team, because that skill obviously at 10,000% attack is going to one-shot you, so you want to make sure you dodge that. Other than that, that's basically it. He just has fixed damage. He just has the you know, the Icy Pond ability. Other than that, you can kind of just kill him and then move on to the next phase. But moving into the next phase here, this phase is going to be a very, very tanky phase where you're not going to be able to do a lot of damage, but when you can kind of build up ultimates for the final phase, that's what's really going to count. But yeah, so he does have a delete skill, which can be very annoying, especially if he does get you know, if you just start attacking the one character you have that only like is like one color, let's say. So like, let's say you have like the one Eikthyrnir and he starts attacking him, and if he's your only blue unit on the field, that's gonna be kind of annoying, I will say. And then he does have a weak point AoE as well, but as long as you don't have debuffs, you will be perfectly fine. But he also has infect for 1 turn as well, so you know, try and not get infected if possible. And then he does have remove buff and cancel stances on his rank 2 there. So in terms of everything you want to do on this phase though, you want to make sure you're able to build up an ultimate of like the 1, or like someone that does a really strong ultimate for phase 4 when you're able to cycle through, and you actually will be able to do an insane amount of damage. So moving into phase 4 here, the thing is with the deer on this phase is that he's gonna have a lot of HP, as you guys can see, and he is gonna have the exact same stance as he did on the floor 1. So once you get to, I think it's like turn 4 when he does this. I think turn 3 he does this. But yeah, I think it'll show here actually. Defensive horn. Okay, so every 3 turns, so 3 turns after your starting turn, he will use defensive horn, and then bubble bomb every 2. So that makes sense. Okay, so on the 3rd turn, he's gonna stance. On the 2nd turn, he's gonna use this. So you basically want to make sure you're able to kill this boss as fast as possible, man. So you see here that he's gonna do his AoE skill. I think it's just, yeah, so it's fill gauge AoE, and then he does have deplete ultimate gauge single target. So it's not gonna be anything too crazy. If you go into this phase with an ultimate, with multiple ultimates, actually, you will be fine. I think that's going to be a big you know, benefit to this. And I think he also does start this fight with a max HP increase, and if you cycle through the colors, it will actually remove it, so take that into account as well. But you want to make sure you're able to do a lot of damage here to kind of kill him as fast as possible before he puts up the defensive horn, so that you're able to actually kill him, man. So phase 4 is honestly a lot easier than phase 2, especially if you don't have too many cards, because there's no fixed damage on this phase. You know, you don't have to worry about that. But phase 2 does have that fixed damage and the freezing thing, so if you could just like work around it, you'll be fine. But yeah, that's gonna be phase 4 stage 2. Let's actually move on now to stage 3 here. So stage 3 I think is probably the hardest part. Obviously, like the 2 hardest parts I would say is phase 2 stage 2 is kind of hard. But then if we go into the floor 3 now, we can actually kind of talk about what passes you want here, and then the you know, the actual the fight itself. So let's actually talk about it. So phase 2 here at floor 3, depending on the passive you get, it really does not matter, honestly. I think any of these passes can be fine. Obviously there are ones better than others, like increasing the hero's crit damage per hero skill use. If he doesn't crit you, it doesn't matter. This one also is pretty good as well, because it increases the hero's crit damage by 50%. This one can basically not matter if he doesn't crit you, so just make sure he doesn't crit you, man. Yeah, and then attack rate stats increase one's pretty good. Crit chance, crit damage increase one is probably not as good. I think these 2 are probably not as good as these 2, but it really doesn't matter, man. It honestly doesn't matter. Moving into phase 4, in terms of buffs you want, I'd say probably the best one is probably the max HP decrease or the attack one, because the ignite one can be good as well. And then honestly, you know, I don't even know. Honestly, it really doesn't matter, guys. I will say bluntly, it really doesn't matter. The ignite one can be bad if you do stall too many turns on the final fight. But this one here is not too bad as well. And then this one I think is okay as well. So it really isn't that crazy, I think, in terms of passives on this floor. The main passes you really want to worry about are probably going to be coming from stage 2 and not stage 3. But yeah, like that's like the main you know, kind of idea in terms of passes for the fight. So now let's actually talk about the fight, man. So going into the fight here, first phase is not going to be anything too crazy. He does have a lot of HP here, and he does have, in his new icy punch here, is actually going to prevent your gauge fill. He's also going to have allowing the use of rank 1 skills only, and then he's also going to have, I think, shock there, and then I think single target, yeah, single target attack seal. So this phase he kind of has a lot of debuffs, man. You can kind of stop a lot of what you do. But yeah, you basically just go through, you know, continue cycling through. You don't have to cycle through colors this phase, by the way. But yeah, like obviously to keep Jormungand stacks you would. But this phase is not anything too crazy. He does have damage cap, but yeah, other than that, it's not anything too crazy. So let's move on to phase 2 here. Phase 2 does not have damage cap. I'm gonna preface this right now, it does not have damage cap, but you want to make sure you're able to clear as fast as possible. So on this phase here, he does have a buff skill, where basically what happens with this skill is that he picks a certain attribute, and you have to cycle through each color to actually get the damage, the 500% damage bonus. As you can see here, refreshes every 2 turns, so you want to make sure you're able to kill him within 2 turns, basically, right? If you can kill him within 2 turns, you'll be fine. If you stall any longer than that, it's gonna be really bad for you. And then also this one here, he lifesteals a lot, so past turn 2, if you're not able to do the color cycle at least, he's gonna follow up with this skill right here and actually just lifesteals whole health bar. So you don't wanna have him go past turn 2. Honestly, like if you are on turn 2, you have to kill on the second turn then, at the very least. If he has this up, you have to cycle through and then kill with the final card to make sure you actually move on to phase 3 here. So phase 3, it's not too bad as well. I think phase 3 is kind of just a stalling phase. You want to make sure you have buff removal for the increased basic stats refresh. Oh, another thing to note as well, by the way, guys, this is not a blue buff. Even though it shows the blue buff icon, this is actually a gray buff, so you can't actually remove that. But anyway, moving back into phase 3 here, he does have amplify AoE, which is only going to do damage once he gets this buff up anyway, so it's not really going to do a lot of damage. He does have charge AoE here, and he does have single target delete, so that's going to be a little bit annoying right there. He's going to remove your gauge and delete a skill, and then obviously depending on the rank, he'll do more. But yeah, this phase is kind of just a stalling phase. You want to make sure you're kind of prepping one of each card and then having an ultimate as well going into phase 4. If you do have the ultimate move gauge decrease passive, then it won't really matter. You can kind of just clear through this phase as fast as possible as well. But you can see here he has a lot of defense and he has a pretty good amount of HP as well. So he's going to basically be eating a lot of your hits. But yeah, this phase is mainly just a stall. As long as you have buff removal, this refresh buff is like, kind of non-existent there. But yeah, you don't really have to worry about that, man, in terms of the buff skill there. Moving into phase 4, this is the most important phase of the entire bird fight completely, because there's something you guys need to know about this fight, and it is this right here. So Blessing in Disguise removes the hero's debuffs, fully heals their HP, and increases all stats by 10% when the hero survives with 20% HP or less. So you do not want to leave the deer anywhere less than 20% HP, because he will full heal and all stats up on you. You will not beat him when he gets his all stats up. I'm telling you guys right now, there have been strategies where you were able to do it, but it was a really, really long amount of time and it was not worth it. Okay, so you want to make sure when you do this fight right here, you want to make sure you're able to kill him around the 25% HP threshold. Okay, so another thing to take into account as well is he starts with fixed damage on this phase. So he's going to take the fixed damage from phase 2 stage 2 and put it here, but also have this full heal passive as well. So it's a very, very hard phase. I would honestly recommend going into this phase with an ultimate so you can cycle through, alter the character. What I like to do personally is I'll do I'll do what I did on phase 2 basically. I'll get a Eikthyrnir card and then a red card, green card, use that, and then ult with Eikthyrnir follow up right after that on the exact same turn, so I'm able to do a lot of damage here and kind of chip away his health, because this deer will actually just be like super annoying at this point in the fight. He does have an evade skill as well, which is going to be very annoying if you do not have a buff removal that turn. Evade also dodges the color you use when you're cycling through colors, so that's something to take into account. You want to make sure you have a buff removal character on your team to kind of bypass the buff right there. But you basically only have 3 turns on this phase to win. If you do not win within 3 turns, he's going to put up this stance and then you're going to lose. It's the same as every other phase 4 of the other stages as well. It's basically the exact same thing. But he's going to have AoE gauge reduction. He's going to have single target flood, right? So the more HP in his HP bar, the more damage he's going to do. His ultimate's lifesteal, so don't let him ult. And yeah, the best thing I can recommend, kill him around 25% HP. If you have like a rank 2 Brunhilder skill, you will kill any card that has a lot of damage from that range will be able to do enough damage, from what I've seen. So as long as you have a character that has like a rank 2 or just has a lot of basic stats, Brunhilder as an example, you can use like a rank 1 power strike or a detonate depending on how much gauge he has and actually kill him from that range. But yeah, you basically want to cycle through initially, take away the fixed damage, all with like an Eikthyrnir or something to chip away as much HP as possible, and then when he's around 25% HP ish, you want to make sure you go for the kill, man. That's going to be the priority you guys want to do, and that's how you're going to be able to beat the deer fight and learn all the mechanics. So that's going to be it for the video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know in the comment section below if this helped you guys. This was a very long video, a lot longer than the bird one, I think, just because there's a lot to explain with the deer. But yeah, man, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe as always, and if you guys want to see more videos like this, definitely let me know in the comment section below, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace out and have a great rest of your day.